I am Thomas Crockett, and I'm going to be doing a chapter review for Chapter 10 of our book, Leadership, A Communication Perspective. And the title of our chapter is Leadership and Diversity. And the overview, the overview for our chapter, kind of some key things to think about when reading the chapter and then to take with you after you're done, is managing diversity, the core of leadership, and then understanding cultural differences, and we define culture, and then we classify cultures, and then we talk about cultural synergy. Then we move over into fostering diversity and get into the benefits of diversity, the obstacles of diversity, and promoting diversity, overcoming the barriers. Then that takes us to the gender leadership gap, breaking the glass ceiling, and navigating the labyrinth, which then talks about the male and female leadership behaviors, and we try to see if there's a difference. And then creating the gap and then narrowing the gap. I want to first talk about understanding cultural differences. In Chapter 8, we defined an organization's culture and talked about how it's a unique way of seeing the world based on particular assumptions, values, rituals, stories, practices, artifacts, and physical settings. These same kind of elements kind of make up the cultures of larger groups. When it comes to defining culture, the book defines culture as the total way of life of a people composed of their learned and shared behavior patterns, values, norms, and material objects. Because cultures are human creations, they take many different forms. Certain cultural teachings result in very different assumptions, expectations, and rules for interaction. If we're not aware of these cultural differences, we can ascribe meanings to behaviors that are inaccurate and divisive. There are certain communication patterns that go into a culture. There are verbal and nonverbal codes used to convey meanings in face-to-face encounters. These can vary from culture to culture. One of the most important aspects of culture is language. Language helps people organize their perceptions and shape of their worldviews. The grammar of Spanish, for example, has a number of levels of respect that reinforces status. When it comes to English, it reinforces individualism by being the only language that capitalizes the pronoun I in writing, which is pretty interesting and something that I didn't really know was a thing. I just kind of assumed that everybody did that. I want to then move ahead a little bit and talk about uncertainty avoidance. This is the fourth dimension, and it measures the extent to which people feel uncomfortable in unstructured or unpredictable situations. And then it also the lengths to which they will go to avoid ambiguity by following strict codes of behavior or by believing in absolute truths. Uncertainty is something that everybody experiences, so it's important to kind of understand how it works and then how you can try to avoid it. High uncertainty avoidance cultures give more weight to age and seniority when selecting leaders. Managers in low uncertainty avoidance societies emphasize interpersonal relations and are more willing to take risks. Managers in high uncertainty avoidance countries seem unapproachable and are more likely to try to control activities of followers. Then there's organizational constituents in high uncertainty avoidance cultures that prefer clear instructions and are more willing to follow orders, disapprove of competition between employees, and are more loyal to their low uncertainty avoidance counterparts. And then finally, for some chapter takeaways, to be an effective organizational leader in an increasingly global society, you will need to manage diversity. Managing diversity means taking advantage of a diverse labor force while coping with the problems that arise when people of different backgrounds work together. The goal of diversity management is to help all employees reach their full potential. As human creations, cultures vary widely. However, recognizing cultural commonalities can help you respond to the needs of diverse groups. Thanks for listening.